campaign. In the last session, our heroes were exploring a deep cave system in search of the source of a villainous seneschal's ungodly arcane powers. Being the advanced scout, their hunter, Malcolm Harp, moved up ahead, creeping silently through the caverns. Unseen by any eyes, he crept onto the top of a large flat rock, lying low to hide himself from the sight of potential enemies. Looked around, saw bones scattered on the floor of the cavern, but couldn't see anything other than that, but stayed low just in case, because he's a practiced hunter. As he was looking around, he saw stalagmites, stalactites, all the things you'd expect to see in an underground cavern system. He whispered back over his shoulder, "Oh, it doesn't look like there's anything here." At which point, Leopold, his dwarven companion, came marching into the cavern with his big dwarven-sized hands, saying, "There's nothing in here, let's go!" Followed in by the rest of the party, which included the friar, Brother Lomas, who is holding an illuminated crystal they found earlier that sheds a sort of purplish pinkish light in a wide radius, and bringing up the rear is the woodsman Weimar Lonegrove. However, as they walked in, suddenly one of the large stalagmites on the opposite side of the rock where Malcolm lies opened. A gigantic fanged maw and two eyes. Immediately, 6 large tentacles thrust out from this stalagmite, moving around the rock where Malcolm lay, still unseen by this creature, this roper that had been lying dormant, just waiting for a noisy dwarf and his companions to stomp into the cave. So, we kick off the session. As you three have walked into the cave, these tentacles whip around this rock and zoom straight towards you. You are all understandably taken by surprise by this, so the roper gets to go first. Now, in order to simplify this, I am just going to roll 6d20 for them, since Malcolm's not been seen, so Malcolm's not getting attacked because he's flat down on the rock. So the first 2d20s I roll will be for Weimar, the second 2 for Brother Lomas, the last 2 for Leopold. Here we go. Then, of course, after that dramatic build-up, he has to wait for the dice to roll. Yeah, I mean, you can't get the staff nowadays, can you? Okay, so we have a 5 and a 19 for Weimar. So I'm guessing one of those has hit you.
Yeah, the 19 has...
Indeed. We have an 11 and a 20 for Brother Lomas. What's your armour class, Brother Lomas?
12.
Okay, so one has hit you. And for Leopold, we have a 10 and a 12. What's your armour class? Leopold.
Oh, dang it. Where's the armour class? 13. It's the shield, isn't it? 13.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are actually grand. So as you're sat there, these 6 tentacles slime and zoom out around this rock. One of them wraps around Weimar's leg, another around Brother Lomas's arm. There's another tentacle flailing at each of you. 2 of them flail at you, but you're able to sort of bat them away with your dwarven warhammer. The one that
I found my save versus character sheet.
That's fine, man. So the one that wraps around Weimar sort of wraps around his leg, and it drags you 10 feet towards the rock.
Weimar.
On the other side is the roper, of course. So as you're shouting for Weimar, Leopold, you suddenly see Brother Lomas, one wrapped around his arm. He likewise gets pulled off his feet and starts getting dragged towards the rock.
Ooh.
And then the roper has gone, so we move on to Malcolm Harp, still concealed on the rock, lying flat. No, it's,
So
it's on
do
the
I
other side
just
of the
see
rock.
all the tentacles? Do I just see all
Exactly.
these tentacles? Yeah.
Yeah.
So from where I am, can I see the tentacles that have trapped Weimar?
Yeah. Yeah, you're literally at an elevated point, so you can see everything going on in
Okay.
this combat. However,
Um,
obviously, unless you attract attention to yourself, the roper will not spot you
hasn't
because
seen
you've
me
succeeded
yet.
in your
Okay.
role.
Now, do these tentacles look like they could be sliced off?
Yeah, they're sort of thin, probably about the size of a fist in sort of like the sort of how far round they are, and they're made of like thickly corded muscle, but you think you could probably cut them with sufficient force.
Okay. So what I want to try to do is then cut the tentacle to force him to release Weimar.
Okay, what weapon are you using to do this?
I have That's a good question. I have a scimitar.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. So make your attack roll.
Okay, 14.
Okay, no problem. As soon as I can actually bring up the sheet, because my computer's running really slowly. 14. Okay, you aim your scimitar at the tentacle that's dragging Weimar by his leg towards the rocks. However, the thickly, densely packed muscle material proves too tough for your scimitar blow. And although a little bit of sort of scuffing occurs, you don't actually manage to sever it. And speaking of Weimar, though, we move on to the next round, which is Weimar himself.
Okay, is the tentacle? Are we talking grapple here?
It's effectively a special ability. You don't count as grappled. However, unless the tentacle's severed or somehow removed from you, it can just keep dragging you, but it doesn't actually do any damage.
So if I were to run, would that be like? Can I move?
Not
my own?
not really, no.
Yeah.
Because you're being sort of pulled by this tentacle.
Okay, so I guess I could go forward though.
Oh yeah, if you want to go towards the creature, that's fine.
let's not do that quite yet. No, okay. So it's the sun sword as I'm being dragged around in the looks like pile of bones.
Yeah, literally, you're being dragged through which you now suspect are the bones of its previous victims. You've seen that scene at the start of like Terminator where the metal endoskeleton treads on the skulls. It's like that. I mean, you're being pulled sort of through it by your leg. Like bits of bone and shards of skulls and rocks sort of flying everywhere. And I know like the mechanics are fairly light for old school essentials and old D&D, by the way, but to all of you, feel free to get inventive and a bit creative during the combat. Even if there's no strict rules for it, I can easily like chip you a bit of a bonus for AC or a bit of a bonus for an attack based on what you do. So, and being creative may be the difference between life and an ignominious death in the darkness of the caverns.
Okay. A thought has entered my brain area.
Okay.
What's the kind of terrain we're talking about here where I'm being dragged from? Is it just, like cave wall?
Yeah, it's cave wall. As you can see from like the dots on the floor, it's like rubble strewn cave, loose rocks, shale, bones, that sort of stuff.
So what I was thinking is there anything I could throw my grappling hook and rope onto to like anchor myself, wrap it out around my arms and just go like, ah!
Well, there is this massive rock here that, Malcolm is hidden on, which obviously the tentacles are coming round the rock, so like the rope is on the other side, but presumably it's got to drag you either over the rock, which it doesn't seem to be doing, or around the rock, which seems more likely because that's where the tentacles have come from and they're just sort of attracting.
So I suppose the plan is going to be, as I'm being dragged, I like halfway draw the sun sword and then I think better of it, put it back in, get the hook and just try and get it onto the rock, and then I will, if it actually gets stuck somewhere, I'll put the rope around my left arm, just like, and then just gets stretched.
Okay. Now, obviously, there is a potential, like, if it keeps pulling you, you will take a little bit of damage because you've been stretched.
Yeah, because it's the rack.
What I'll do is, when it gets to the next ropers go, and normally it would automatically be able to, like, move you 10 feet now because it's got you. What I'll do is I'll ask you for a strength roll, and if you succeed, you might take a hit point or two as damage, but you'll stay where you are.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think we'll...
But there's no roll to hook it on. You can do that, that's fine.
So I'm throwing the thing. I'm like rolling on the ground and throwing the thing at the rock. And
you see it like hit a chink in the rock where like a, and obviously as you're being pulled, like the rope quickly goes taut, and you're sort of holding onto this rope like a literal lifeline, as like your legs are getting stretched out in front of you with this thick tentacle wrapped around your legs, and this other one sort of like flailing at you, trying to grab hold of you as well.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm just yelling like, Lomas! Ah!
Yeah. You look across and you can see that like Brother Lomas has got like his own troubles as he's like being pulled along likewise by his arm. But speaking of Brother Lomas, it's you next.
Well, I was going to suggest a similar thing.
That's fine.
But I was going to suggest the Weimar to hold on to my staff, and between us we were just sort of resisting, but either side of the rock. But
yeah, I mean, sure, let's.
But if you've already,
if I'm anchored,
this
I suppose I'm in a very good position to grab anything you're holding out. So.
Yeah, if you wanted to do that, so basically if you're like throwing your staff out, Weimar's presumably like wrapped his arm around the grappling hook, and he's going to like hold onto your staff with the other to try and like anchor you.
Yeah.
Basically, like, if Weimar succeeds on his sort of strength check, you will likewise be held in place, Brother Lomas, but obviously you will also take a couple of hit points damage because you're also being stretched.
Would I be able to then try and climb my way to the grappling hook, so at least it's the grappling hook that's taking all the pressure rather than...
I tell you what, make me a strength check.
Okay.
Now, getting Weimar to grab hold of your staff to like so you can start that's not a problem, no roll required. This is just to see if while you're being pulled in the opposite direction, you can like...
try and make a bit of leeway. Okay. No.
Okay, so you've not managed to pull yourself onto the grappling hook, but Weimar is still like holding onto your friar's staff. He's like he's got one arm on the rope, one arm on your staff, and his legs are being like pulled out in front of him.
I will be. Yeah, I was going to say I will be conscious if it looks like he's going to rip it off. I'm just going to let go of the staff, and I don't want to take him with me, sort of thing.
That's absolutely fine. Obviously, you can quite happily do that, just like no problems. Okay, so now the only person who's not been ensnared by the roper, we go on to Leopold.
John.
Yes.
The situation is dire. Indeed. I can see two of my companions ensnared by this creature. But
and also you've still got two tentacles like flailing at you, even though they've not managed to grab you.
Leopold pays no heed to those. He's focusing on his stricken companions at this point, and so Malcolm is hold down, dodging it somehow.
He's not dodging it. Because basically, when he crept in, he basically, not knowing the roper was on the other side of that rock, he basically crept on the other side onto the rock because it was like a vantage point, and he was like laid down flat to like hide himself from like any creatures that might be here.
So it looks like it hasn't detected him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have noticed Malcolm. You've seen he sort of like went like that with his scimitar and tried to like hack one of these tentacles, but obviously didn't manage it.
And I can't actually see the thing. I can just see these flailing tentacles at this point.
Yeah, basically what I've done to like, go into like game speak is I've set up like terrain walls. So if you're on the rock, you can see onto the other side of it. If you're not, you can only see the rock.
Yeah. So old Leopold is no slouch. He's a pretty savvy guy. I'm thinking it looks like it might be his best option to move perhaps north and maybe slide in there round behind, just to the north of Weimar, or perhaps and then chip away at the tentacle, like dodge away from the ones that are my immediate concern, and then
Yep.
nip in just to the north of Weimar. I mean,
That's absolutely fine. Move yourself to where you want to be, mate.
you're my eyes and ears here, John. Does this look like a good spot? Does Leopold think this is a good spot over there?
What spot is it you're looking at?
Well, I've just moved him. Is that?
That's basically where you are now. Is you're sort of stood like just behind the rock that Malcolm's on.
Yeah, and from here I can hack away at Weimar's bonds. Can I?
Yes, you can indeed.
And for this, I will bust out the frost axe because I don't feel like a hammer is really the order of the day.
And I believe your frost axe is just it's just a normal axe, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
Oh, don't say that, John.
I don't mean to belittle like your dwarven heritage or anything, obviously.
Don't say that, John. This is the frost axe of the dwarves. You know. I'm just going to chop away.
Okay, make a roll.
Hey.
Okay, so you aim what you consider to be a mighty and sort of vicious strike at the tentacle that's wrapped around Weimar's leg. However, as you hit it like squarely, however, your axe seems to like not penetrate the thick muscular tentacle and leaves no mark on it whatsoever.
You are joking.
I am not.
Do I get all them nasty vibrations up my arm?
Indeed, as you hit it. So we move on to the next round. So
that's a bit disappointing.
it's the roper again. So I'm gonna roll 4d20 this time. And that is going to be obviously the extra one that's like flailing at Weimar is the first. The next one is the one that's at Brother Lomas, and the last two are the ones that are flailing at Leopold. Okay, so the tentacles that are flailing at Weimar and Brother Lomas just continue sort of like flailing at you and trying to find purchase, but obviously you're being dragged quite quickly. Although you've now arrested that, they don't manage to grab any extra hold on you, so you still only have one tentacle on each of you. However, obviously, as you're sort of like running forward, Leopold, and you've just sort of like whacked one of these tentacles, another one sort of slithers up, grabs hold of your leg while you're trying to hack the other tentacle, and it drags you 10 feet around the rock. So you guys watch as Leopold runs up, starts hacking at this tentacle, doesn't manage to get through it. Then another one slithers around his leg, and you just see him like, whoosh, and he gets dragged around the rock. Okay, now, obviously, normally Weimar and Brother Lomas, you would be getting pulled nearer to it. However, Weimar, due to your grappling hook, you get to make a strength check.
Okay. So, let's see. Praise Gale. No. Yes. I forgot which way it goes. Praise Gale.
Indeed. So you've managed to hold on. Can you roll me a D3, please? And to see how much damage you and Brother Lomas take as you're being stretched.
Oof.
Okay, so you both take 3 hit points of damage, Weimar and Brother Lomas, as you can feel like your joints on the verge of being dislocated as you're both hanging on, but these thick ropey cords of tentacular muscle are straining and pulling you. You can feel like your ankles like popping and your knees straining as it's trying to pull you around this ragged rock.
Weimar is doing his best impression of those action movie scenes where the really tough, muscly guy is doing the thing where he's pulling on 2 different things in the middle, except he's not a muscly buff dude. It's this guy.
It's like Spider-Man with the train.
Yeah.
I was thinking more Mr. Stretch with the skinny.
Stretch Armstrong. Okay, so we come to Malcolm. You're still on the rock, Malcolm. The advantage of you like not really having done any damage to it is it's not noticed you yet.
Yeah.
You've basically just seen like Leopold like on his front, like being dragged around the rock, and you can see like the mouth of this thing like as it's like obviously planning to chomp him but good when it gets him near enough.
So I guess, John, as a hunter over the years, would I have come across anything like this? Would I have any sense of what its weaknesses might be?
Roll me a d6. Okay, this is clearly not a natural creature. You know most natural creatures that inhabit caves. This is obviously some sort of magical aberration or something of the like. So whilst you don't know specifically how to defeat it, you expect that like the thing that can normally harm like a magical creature is something magical.
Okay.
But you don't really know any more details.
Okay. And if I'm looking up at the roof above it, is there any stalactites?
There are indeed.
Stalagmites?
Stalactites, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what I want to do then is call out to Leo.
Okay, that will obviously reveal to the creature where you are.
Can I whisper?
You could whisper, but there's like a very small percentage chance that Leopold will hear you because obviously Weimar's like, and Brother Lomas is like, and this thing's like,
pass me a note.
So basically, he'll have to. I'd say he'd have to roll a d6, and if you're whispering, and if you got a 1 or a 2, he'd hear you.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of noise going on.
Okay. So can I try and attract his attention visually without making any noise?
Yeah. How might you attract his attention
Are
visually?
you pretty?
So
Shows a bit of leg.
Yeah. So as he's being dragged around the rock, I guess what I want to kind of do is just, I guess, kind of subtly wave at him, or relatively subtly wave at him.
Okay, now again, I'm going to ask for the same roll because obviously he's like being dragged towards his like imminent death. So
I'm
he's a
being
bit
dragged to
preoccupied.
my doom.
Leopold, roll me a d6.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so against all the odds, as you're like being dragged through this bone pile and these rocks, you look up and you basically see Malcolm like. You've got his attention against all the
I
odds.
feel so much better about that.
So I'm gonna point towards these stalagmites and tights,
Yeah.
and make a hammer throwing gesture.
Oh, okay.
Indeed. And so he
And-
does.
Yeah, and that'll be my go.
Okay, so we move on to Weimar. Are you just maintaining your hold? Okay. So we'll move on to Brother Limas. Obviously, you're sort of still holding on to your staff. I'm going to say by now you've managed to sort of like grab hold of the grappling hook, sort of inching your way along. Is there anything else you want to do apart from maintain your hold?
Well, the problem is, yeah, he's feeling the strain of this. He's probably not going to get any less unless someone does something. And he feels that he's probably making it harder for Weimar. So I'm going to let go of my staff and let it drag me round. And I'm going to spend my turn trying to find that slumber grass that I've got.
Okay,
So
that's
hoping
not a
it'll
problem.
get me close enough in a turn or two to.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because obviously it was dragging, I'm going to move you the 10 feet.
Yep.
However, at the start, basically you're sort of like rifling through your bags as you've let go of the staff and you've like, and it's dragged you along. By the start of your next turn, you've like got your hands on the slumber grass.
Okay. Yep.
That's the old snore snag, yeah?
That's it. That's
Yeah,
what the dwarves call it. Okay, Leopold.
It's confusing me changing up all the names like that.
Oh, that's these newfangled like modern human ways, man.
You know what I mean? Jeez. So, so this Malcolm Hart fella, do I reckon he knows what he's on about, or
That's entirely down to you to decide. I'm not going to tell you that.
He's not a dwarf, so
You've been
I
adventuring
mean,
with
he's
him.
not a dwarf.
He's not a dwarf, but he is a hunter. He knows the
He's a
wilds.
hunter, yeah.
But it's down to you to make that decision.
What does he know about the subterranean environs? You know?
Try waving at him and asking him.
pass him a note. Send a text.
That's it. That throws a dagger at the rock with a little note wrapped around it.
See, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go with his plan, and then if I die, I can blame him.
I say you can sit grumbling about it in the halls of the
That's
ancestors.
it, yeah. My ancestors can make a solid entry in the Book of Grudges.
Indeed. A weighty tome indeed.
Yes.
Okay, so you're throwing your
Yeah.
misery's end at the stalactite. So make an attack roll.
Okay. Missile. Oh.
Okay. You throw your hammer, it spins around in an arc, hits a humongous stalactite, snapping it off in a wanna before like spinning back to your hand, and you grab it. You see this stalactite plunge down directly towards the roper. It strikes it and explodes in a shower of stone chips and dust. But when the thick cloud of dust clears, it appears to have done no damage to the roper.
Or execution, as far as I'm concerned.
Chew harp.
And speaking of the roper, so again, I'm going to roll 3d20 for it, for like the 3 tentacles it's still got. First one for Leopold, second one for Weimar, next one for Brother Lomas. So let's see how we do.
We just get a total, so we don't know what you've rolled.
Yeah.
We just get
Yeah,
38.
I can click on the 38 and it gives me like a breakdown.
Yeah.
The first one was like 77. I was like,
So-
oh boy.
Okay, so the one that was against Leopold has missed, and the other two have hit. So Weimar and Brother Lomas, you now have 2 tentacles wrapped around you. So your strength test is going to be a little bit more challenging, Weimar, because you've now got 2 of these things like pulling you. However, Brother Lomas and Leopold, you are both dragged towards the waiting maw of this creature, since you are sort of wrapped up in it. And what I'm going to do, because it has a bite attack, I'm going to roll randomly. I'm going to roll a d6. If it's a 1 to 3, it's Leopold. If it's a 4 to 6, it's Brother Lomas.
Ooh.
Okay, it's Brother Lomas. Okay, you take 12 hit points of damage as you're dragged towards this thing, towards its waiting maw, and you feel these stony teeth from this like vertical slit of a mouth chomp down on your thigh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he won't take 12 damage. He's -4.
Okay, so I'm afraid that is you done. So you guys literally see this thing like drag Brother Lomas into its waiting maw, chomps down on him, and he literally, like, the upper half of his body just falls out of the thing's mouth, his legs disappearing inside it.
Can I make any vain attempt to shove this slumber grass into it
Do you know what? Why not? Make me an attack roll,
as a last gesture?
and we'll see what we do.
Shall I just
Obviously
roll
you-
a d20 or?
Yeah, just roll a d20, mate.
Yeah, okay. Get out of the way. Oh,
Okay, yeah, so you have hit it. I'm going to have a look at the Slumbergrass rules. I can't really remember it. When thrown in the face of an enemy,
Paralysation thing, yeah.
target must save versus paralysis or take a -2 penalty to all rolls. Okay, so let me roll its save.
Bloody hell.
Okay,
What?
it succeeds. So you dash you do, as you in your sort of dying attempt, you dash the slumber grass like into its open maw as you're pulled inside it. However, perhaps due to its alien physiology, because it's not really like a carbon-based life form, because it's made of rock, it doesn't seem to have any effect. And the last thing you see is its sort of stone-like fangs closing down around you.
I just managed to feed it, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or
They got
garnish it.
dark. They got dark real fast.
I've garnished its meal. Okay.
So it seems to have skipped out Leopold for some reason. But Leopold, what would you like to do? Oh no, because that was the Roper's turn. My apologies, I'm getting a bit mixed up. So it's all the emotion of the moment.
That's it. That's what it is. He's overcome.
So Malcolm, you have just seen from your perch on the rock Brother Lomas get chomped in half by this thing.
Okay. Okay. What I want to do, this is a terrible idea, but is I want to scooch down off the rock.
Yeah, that's fun.
I want to take the sun sword out of Weimar's scabbard,
Okay.
and I want to try and use it to cut the tentacles, one of the tentacles on Weimar.
Quick question, what alignment are you?
I am neutral.
Oh. Just give me a moment.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Because we all know what happened to old Leopold when he like whooped it out.
Yeah. Yeah. That could well kill you. Being as you're not a dwarf and that.
Mm.
He's got gloves on, though.
Yeah, well, you know. You need more than gloves. Gonna need more than gloves.
Okay, as you lift it out and you feel these lawful energies sort of playing around your body, you take 6 hit points of damage.
Okay.
So how about that fate game?
Can I still use it?
Yeah, you can still use it. You've got it now. It doesn't do any more. It's just like when you initially pick it up if you're not lawful.
Okay. Right, so let me
Is
then
the
try-
6 points of like admonishments from the sword?
Probably. Like
I like to think even the sword's got like enough decorum to be like, now's probably not the time to tell him off.
vicious mockery.
Okay. Right, that should actually be plus 7 damage rather than 6 because it's a +1 sword.
Okay, that's fine. So you swing the sun sword down, it briefly bursting into flames as it hits one of the tentacles, the 2 tentacles around Weimar, and severs it. The sort of end of the tentacle that's like spraying ichor out of it, it's like and like sort of zooms back around the rock as it's quickly withdrawn. The severed bit just like flops uselessly and falls off to the ground. However, there's still a tentacle around Weimar.
So can I also call out to Leo now to cut the tentacle?
Yeah.
Since I've
Yeah,
shown that it works.
you revealed yourself, so yeah.
Yeah.
So from the other side of the rock, Leopold, you hear Malcolm shouting, "Cut to the tentacle!" But before
Cut
that,
it with what, you human numpty?
we go on to Weimar.
Is Malcolm able to drop the sword for me? to use?
I'll say you can grab the sword because he literally just chopped off tentacle that's like on you. So he's like an arm's length away from you. So you can just like, give it up.
Yeah, it's like, hand it to me. I'm like one hand again, just bound up in the rope.
Yep.
And I'm trying to reach down, slash the other one.
Go for it. Okay, unfortunately, as you're sort of like straining and you're trying to maintain your grip, you're not able to land a convincing blow on it with a sun sword. However, you do still get to make your strength check, although and it's just your normal there's no penalty because one of the tentacles has been severed.
So close.
Yep. Almost. It's the
Okay.
strain from trying to use a sword.
So you're being dragged with such force that you hear like the of the grappling hook as it's pulled free from its moorings, and you are dragged 10 feet around the rock in the same direction as Brother Lomas.
That's the wrong
Sorry,
type
that's
of
you,
jump.
yeah. It's because I'm zoomed out. Let me put you back somewhere roughly where you were. There we go. Let's move one more to there. There we go. Okay, so it's on to Leopold. What are you doing?
So
Mr.
I'm gonna wail on this thing. I'm gonna wail on it with my hammer.
Okay, yeah, you've got your hammer in your hand. You threw it previously.
It's hammer time. And it's just one tentacle on me, John, yeah?
That's correct for the moment.
Yeah. I'm tempted to, like, muller the hammer at the thing, but probably...
Well, obviously, if the thing's dead, that solves the tentacle dilemma.
Yeah.
But obviously, you're like literally right next to its mouth.
Yeah.
You're the only target now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go for this tentacle and see if I can get it to let go of me by bashing it.
Obviously, if you can sever this tentacle, you could then take your move action to like move so you're not directly next to it.
Yeah.
Okay, make your attack roll.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, you bring your hammer down and you smash this tendril around you into a paste. You are now free.
Woo! I'm gonna GTFO.
Go for it. It's not like this thing can run after you.
How far can I go out away from this damn thing? It's just like mulched my companion.
You can move up to your normal movement, which is, I believe, 30 feet.
Yeah, these are
They're 5 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Right. I need to regroup. Dish. I'm gonna go about here. Oh, I'll back up Malcolm. I'll give him some tactical advice from behind.
I like to think your tactical advice is like, watch out for the tentacles. Thanks, Leopold.
Leopold comes running out. My God, Mother of God, what the hell is... Well, yeah, I know what it is. Not what the hell is it. It's a roper. The ancestors speak of these creatures. We'd do well to retire from this place.
Okay. So, next round, it is the roper, which is going to pull Weimar out of the 10 feet.
Is anybody else thinking about like George and Mildred from the BBC television series of the late 70s? George and Mildred,
I
the
can't
Ropers.
say I was. But
You're a bit too young for it, John.
So our flattery will get you everywhere. Okay, so we have 2 tentacles on, sort of like coming at Leopold and Malcolm. So I'm going to roll 4d20, first 2 for Leopold, second 2 for Malcolm. And I'll just check those numbers. Okay, so a tentacle has wrapped around you, Leopold. Just as you've fought off one, another one slithers up and grabs around your waist. What's your AC, Malcolm?
16.
Oh, you have just avoided one. One comes straight towards you, going to wrap around your leg, and you sort of jump out of the way at the last moment. Okay, so I'm going to make its bite attack for Weimar. Okay, it hits. You take 20 points of damage. Okay, so basically, Weimar, like half of his body is like in this thing's mouth, and you can see like blood sort of spraying everywhere. He's still alive, 'cause you can hear him obviously like screaming in pain, but he looks like he's about to go the same way as the unfortunate Brother Lomas. Okay, Malcolm, what are you doing?
I am running away. As much as it pains me to leave Weimar behind, I don't really want to join him. So 10, 15, 20, 25. Over here somewhere.
Okay, so Malcolm's running away. So Weimar, what are you doing? You've obviously still got Sun Sword in hand.
Yeah.
If you could cut the tentacle, you could potentially like also run away.
Yeah. First thing is, as it's chomping on me, to the sword. Not just because I'm busy screaming, but with the old brain.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything you can do to tell this thing to let me go, now would be the time. Because you will be stuck here in the cave for the next 100 years.
Okay, I like your style. So, as you're doing that, you literally hear from your own mouth a voice ring out that's like, "Unhand him, you rocket bastard!"
Oh dear.
And can you please roll me a d12?
Oh, that's a 6.
Okay, you regain 6 hit points.
Wonderful. Now I just needed to roll all ones.
So
Next time.
as the sword through you, it's like, "Unhand him, you rocket bastard!" You feel like the anger of the sword and like the strength of its purpose flow into you. But you know that like this isn't like a permanent thing.
Yeah.
You know, you've basically got like a shot of adrenaline that's like briefly sort of restored you.
So riddle me this, John. It's got me by the foot.
Yep.
While it's doing its best to get at my innards,
Yep.
do I think I could chop my foot off with the sun sword
Well,
because of my
obviously,
low HP?
you being inside it is just like flavour. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
want, you could just chop the tentacle around your foot and then like hot foot it.
Yeah, I was the thing.
I mean, if you really want, you can hack your foot
Yeah.
off. I mean, that.
Yeah, the thing I'm getting at is like, can I get away by just like halfway through the shin, just
Yeah.
and then like get away without a roll? Because I know that I will roll if I want to hit the tentacle itself.
I will say you can do that, and whilst the adrenaline given to you by the sword will allow you to run away, like after combat,
Yeah.
you are going to
Yeah.
need some like healing, but quick.
Yep.
And like you're not sure, but you're pretty sure your only healers are like lying dead on the ground
Yep.
next to you.
Yep. It's
So
it's a shit show.
So
It's
what
a
I'm going to say is,
situation.
if you want to do that, you can do it without a roll. That is fine, and you can do your full move because you're like running on the stump because of the adrenaline,
Yeah.
ignoring the pain. But after the combat finishes, it will drop you to 0 HP.
Yep. That's fine. No, we're just.
Yeah. So
I've seen it
Leopold,
done.
as you're sort of peeking around the rock, you suddenly see Weimar like pull the sword out, and he just hacks his own foot off. That's
Oh, is it gonna cauterize the wound because of the?
yeah, bro. Yeah, it's flaming.
So there's even like
There's like a sizzle.
It goes beyond his ability to produce the sound as he's burning, amputating his foot. It goes up
There's
in
a
pitch
sizzle
then
and
disappears.
there's like a rich smell, almost like pork, that like wafts through the cavern.
Yep.
So yeah,
So-
you've severed your foot. Make your move. That's
And
not
other
not a phrase I
things.
thought I'd be saying when I started saying.
Yeah, this Friday night. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I'm just it's fucking weird looking, Leopold, as I come with one actual foot and the other is just like a bleeding bone spike.
See, he's like leaving like a trail of blood behind him as he's running.
So like it's just completely out of his mind, really, just belting it down.
Although you do
flaming sword in
notice,
hand.
you do notice as you're running with this flaming sword and like leaving this trail of blood behind you, some of the remaining tentacles, obviously it's still got like 4 tentacles, some of them are actually sort of almost like lapping up the blood.
Ooh.
They've sort of stopped and they're like slithering around in the blood, and you can hear like,
Yeah, because they're like, oh, this is food.
yeah, it's just like you've just like spread like a free like amount of food on the ground for them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
good.
it's over to Leopold.
So Leopoldi,
You've
he
still got a
calls out,
tentacle on you.
you know, he's like, what the blazers, and he rushes over to Weimar.
You won't
like,
yeah, you won't really be able to rush over to him because you've got tentacles around you.
oh, they got me, are they?
You've got one round you. You had 2 on you. You've smashed 1. You've still got another 1 on you.
Dang. Okay. Scratch that from the record.
However,
I
you
will-
are right next to him, so if you just wanted to like reach over or shout to him, you could do that.
No.
Wave at him.
Yeah, no.
That's notes.
No, I'm not engaging in any of that tomfoolery. I'm gonna smash this tentacle with my hammer.
Make your attack roll.
Boom. Oh, it's two wind. Oh, get out of my face.
Okay, so you mash at the tentacle with the hammer, misery's end. However, it unfortunately doesn't spell an end to your misery, and it doesn't manage to do any damage to it.
I should have used my inspiration.
So on to the next round. So Leopold, you are dragged 10 feet back towards this thing.
Dang.
However, luckily for Malcolm and Weimar, the other tentacles are distracted, like lapping up the blood trail that Weimar's left, so they're not actually like coming for you because you're technically both still in range. Because the thing's got like a long old range, but luckily Weimar's effectively just spread like an easy like buffet out for it. So it's like I could fight them and like risk being attacked, or I could just like eat this that's here. Okay, so that's the Roper done. So we're going to go on to Mr. Harp.
Okay.
As you sort of glance back over your shoulder, you see Weimar like running, like missing a foot to like a bloody stump. Just sort of like his face is pale, all the blood's drained out of it. He's holding the flaming sword. He's like wobbling and staggering as he's basically charging in your direction.
Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go back and get him,
Yeah, that's fine.
and then I want to help him. Basically, the two of us walk together for as far as we can to get out of the range.
Okay, so what I'm going to say is move half your move now, like half your base move, to where you want to end up. And then
Okay.
once Malcolm's finished moving Weimar, you can just put yourself next to him. Because he's
Okay.
literally run in, sort of put a hand under like your arm and like dragged you along.
Okay, so that would put me about there, I think.
Yeah, so move yourself over, Weimar. Yeah, so you're literally like dragging him, like trailing blood behind him through this cave. Okay, Weimar, is there anything else you want to do? Obviously, your sort of move's been pretty much done because you've been sort of dragged along.
Yeah, I think I'm on borrowed time right now. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm just like mumbling with a very hoarse voice because I've
You said,
belted out some noise.
Got any healing, Governor?
So I was like, I think it's got Leopold. I think it's got Leopold. As I'm just sort of like, oh boy, adrenaline. It's gonna go away real soon, and then I'm gonna not be here.
Yeah, you can see that like with every moment that's passing, like Weimar is getting like paler because obviously like blood's just
So-
like gushing. Well, not gushing out of his leg, but he's got like wounds all over him.
Yep.
He's obviously going into shock from having like cut his own foot off.
So
Unsurprisingly.
what I want to do as I'm being dragged off is just like get my cloak, just wrap the sword in it, because I don't exactly understand how it works, but I know that it's probably not good for anyone else. I don't know, and I'm trying to push it on to Malcolm. Just like, take this, maybe help Leopold, maybe take it away. I don't know, but I can't carry it much further. So you need to do that.
Okay. So, speaking of Leopold, we move on to Mr. Stavish. Being dragged towards the waiting
I
of the
will
roper.
wail on the tentacle,
Go for it.
with misery's end.
Come on, man. Praise Gale. Yeah.
What's your final attack score?
I don't know.
The thing there in the roll thing is 16.
Oh, that's definitely a hit. Then.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10 damage.
so you smash your hammer down and pulp this tentacle. You are free to move, Leopold.
Right. I am.
And it's only got 2 tentacles left.
Bomb, 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 bomb.
Okay, so you start sprinting further into the cave.
Yep.
Okay, next round. Okay, Leopold, 2 tentacles are coming at you.
Okay, now how far?
It's literally like got the range of the cave it's in.
No.
I mean, technically, Malcolm and like Weimar are still just in range.
Okay, now.
Luckily for you, with an unexpected bout of athleticism born by your sort of panic and your sort of adrenaline, as these 2 tentacles whip out towards you, you jump over one and then duck down as another one goes over your head, and you're running.
In sport, insert running shoe advert of your choice at this point.
Indeed. So, next round, Mr. Harp.
So I want to bring Weimar up to...
Yeah, you can do half your move again, and then Weimar, you can just move yourself up level with him.
1, 2... Up to about here.
Okay, not a problem. So you're dragged into the shelter of some rocks. Weimar, is there anything you want to do? Apart from like you push the sword onto Malcolm. Take it!
Yeah, basically,
Take it.
I want to make sure that Malcolm takes the sword, and then I'm just sort of slowly babbling,
Expiring.
just sort of falling into a shock as I'm dying.
You see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay,
You walk into the light.
so do you take the sword, Malcolm? That's being pushed
yes.
towards you. It's all wrapped up. Okay, yeah, you take it. Don't take any more damage from it. You've got the sun sword. Okay, so we're going to move on to Leopold.
Right. I'm looking at an exit strategy. It looks like there's a little bit of a side passage there to my left. I can see.
That's correct. Yep. There's a little dip just as you go through, but it's like a couple of feet.
Right. I'm going to head on down there, I think.
Go for it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.
Okay.
6.
So this is the roper's probably last chance to really do anything. So as you're dragging Weimar away, one of the tentacles that was whipping after Leopold comes towards the 2 of you. However, it gets to about here where I'm pinging, and that's like as far as it can go, and it's just sort of like trying to get at you, but you're just beyond its reach.
Okay.
And then the second one zooms out towards you, Leopold, but it stops here.
Oh,
You are also just beyond its reach. Okay, at which point, Weimar, can you lower yourself to 0 hit points as like the immediate danger passed? Weimar just like slumps in your arms, Malcolm becoming, no pun intended, a dead weight.
Hey.
Okay, so on the assumption then that we're outside of the range of this thing, I want to kind of lie Weimar down and try and stop the bleeding if I can at all.
Yep, there's not really a lot of bleeding because he cauterized the wound. He's just basically like the adrenaline that the sword gave him has worn off and he's in shock.
Okay.
He's just cut his own foot off with a giant flaming sword. Of course he is.
Okay.
He's
First time.
he's blatantly not long for this world unless he gets some help.
Okay. And do we have any healing herbs?
So Leopold is no fool. He's not silly. Can he assess the situation there, John? Is there anything that
Blake.
you can do to assist? He's a fairly shrewd guy.
What you know from looking at him, like he's basically like knocking on death's door. He needs some sort of healing. He's gone too far to just like recover naturally because he's on 0 hit points. Like literally, the sword has been the only thing like keeping him going for like the last couple of rounds.
Well, give him the sword back. Give him that sword, Malcolm. What are you doing, hanging on to that sword? Give him the sword, man. Lay it on him.
We did have that spirit tame. That was the herb that we found that heals.
Malcolm, I feel like you're not listening to me. Give me that sword.
Oh, you want to pick up the sword, do you, Leopold?
It's all wrapped up in a sack.
Yeah, I know it is. I know.
Yeah, I'm going to rest a little for Malcolm.
Just
give him the sword.
You do have 1 dose of that spirit, Ame. If you want to give him that.
I definitely want to give him that. So
okay, roll a d3.
Okay.
And obviously, like remove that from your list.
Oh, 3.
Well, technically it'll be 2 because it's 1 to 2 is 1.
Oh, sorry, I rolled a 1d3.
Oh, right, that's fine then. Okay,
Yeah.
in which case, that's how many hit points you get back, Weimar. So you wake up still in a great deal of pain, like gulping for breath, as basically like Malcolm's like thumbing this like fragrant herb into your mouth and like working your jaw to get you to swallow it. And like you feel like you're very shaky, like a strong wind could finish you off, but at the moment you're not in any immediate danger of death.
Okay.
But obviously, like I say, like a rock sort of falling like a couple of feet away from you, like that shocked you, could probably finish you off at the minute.
Yeah, are we in
You
the rocks
feel
while
like a
everyone
first
dies?
level thief.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay,
but
so
the combat encounter's effectively ended as long as you don't go within range of the roper.
Okay, so I'd like to suggest that we get Weimar out of here. We get our ponies and we head back to New Zealand for some rest and recuperation.
Yes, indeed. You'll get no argument out of me. That's about the best idea you've ever had, Harp. And that ain't
Okay.
saying much.
So as you guys are doing that, you can hear footsteps getting closer to you, and round the corner comes Gordon Sinclair, who's obviously like heard the commotion and all the screaming. He takes one look at Weimar and basically like
he's in a Sinclair C5.
That's it, man. He basically throws Weimar's like arm over his shoulder, so Gordon will like handle sort of like moving Weimar, like freeing the rest of you up.
Good man.
Okay. And how far are we from the exit? Do we know? There was an exit nearby, was there?
That's correct. The one that
Yeah,
you
just
came
to the
into.
south, innit?
So you are about Gordon's about 60 feet from it.
Okay. So
But obviously you're not in combat round, so you can just like move to the exit.
So
Yeah.
did like
So I suggest we just do that. Let's just.
did Brother Lomas have any family or anything? Has he got like a next to kin? Do we have to notify
I
him?
think
brother,
we were-
brother Lomas, have you got any next of kin in New Zealand, and would you have told your fellow adventurers about them?
Oh, I can't talk. I'm dead now.
Well, that's right. Think of this as like a sort of voiceover
No,
Like
flashback.
a retrospective.
Where
like a
Leopold,
flashback scene.
yeah, Leopold's like, I remember Brother Lomas told me, and then we get Brother Lomas's
We
voiceover.
flashback to the campfire scene.
No, I mean, I believe that he'd have moved away from his family to sort of go the solo life, more of a friar.
Of an RPG player.
Yeah, and lead out into the... Because, I mean, that little hamlet or whatever you call it, there's hardly anyone there.
Yeah.
What, New
numbers
Zealand?
wise. Yeah.
Yeah, there's hardly anyone there.
So he's basically doing a bit of a pilgrimage, spreading the word of Leander, and that's where he's ended up.
Okay, so as you think back to it, Leopold, and I'm just moving your counter to the exit along with everyone else, you remember sort of talking about like family, and you remember Brother Lomas saying that he did have a bit of family back in Roeline, but he sort of like left all of his family behind when he took up the life of a friar and dedicated himself to Leander.
I ain't got too much respect for that.
Says the man who's always banging on about his ancestors.
Exactly. I mean, that's like lame, innit? That's a bit lame. So, yeah, each to their own, live and let live. But if it had some stronger family ties, maybe he would have found the spirit to have held on there and resisted the roper. Maybe it's
Give the
it's
guy a
destiny.
chance.
It's like destiny that's, destiny. If you'd have had some ancestors to back him up.
Kick a
He
friar
probably
when
would-
he's down.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay, but dwarves are not big on sympathy, are they?
No.
You know what I mean? He's not even cold yet, Leopold.
It's like, I told you so. I told you so. If you'd have respected your ancestors, they'd have like backed you up, pulled you away from that roper. Instead, you've turned your back on your family, your roper food.
I know I shouldn't have put that comment on that YouTube video.
Oh no! Oh, shots fired.
Okay, so you guys head out of the cave mouth via which you entered, and you're in the Grey Heights. Obviously, Weimar's still not looking too clever. You've lost the friar. And so that we can get our head back into it quickly, we're going to have our scheduled sort of break here. I'm just going to nip off. Obviously, we'll have a 10-minute break, guys. I'm going to quickly nip off, use the conveniences, come back, have a quick chat to Darren so we can bounce his character in. We'll have a little bit of a chat about how we can get him in as quickly as possible, and then we'll press on if that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be back in a couple of moments.
Yep, same as that. Right, sorry about that.
It's alright, mate, no worries.
Right.
So I've just made a sort of blank character called Darren's new character.
Yep. Well, I did work out most of it earlier. So
Okay.
I've got Brock, B-R-O-C-K, Brock, Montani.
Yep, that's fine. I mean, you should be able to edit the character sheet
Oh right,
and put
sorry.
this stuff in.
Where are we?
So if you go on the right hand side, if you see like the icon that looks
see it,
like the
yeah.
people, there's a folder called Player Party. In that, there's a folder called Active, and there's a character in there called Darren's new character.
Okay.
If you just click on it, it should bring up the sheet, and you should be able to edit it.
Yep.
Nice. I like the name. Strong.
I just thought that was the most appropriate barbarian.
I like it.
I did like. I'll be honest. I did like the look of a merchant, but I just didn't see it working really.
Yeah.
Just all its skills are not really appropriate for out in
Yeah.
the wilderness, and
That's
but,
fair.
but I thought it was quite interesting. Anyway, his wisdom is his bad stat because he don't like magic, so I thought that seemed quite appropriate.
Yeah.
He got really good stats.
Yeah, I remember seeing you when you posted it, and that's pretty tasty.
I was bloody surprised. When I looked at the Brother Lomas, I thought, flipping it, they're rubbish, really. Well, what else can I do here?
So what's your hit point total?
I haven't rolled it yet because I
Okay,
thought
that's fine.
I didn't know if you did maximum at first level or not. And
Well,
that
you
sort
won't
of
be
thing.
starting at first level. What was the level of your previous character?
Brother Lomas was level 4.
So you were starting at level 3.
So shall I just roll 3d8 or?
Your first one will be max, and then you
So
can
just roll 2, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and he's got +1 for con, so it'd have been on 9 plus 11, 22.
Okay.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Let me look at my saving throws here. Fill those in. 10, not 100. 12, 15, 16. What are these movement rates? No. Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah.
What did I work that out to be? He's got chain mail, so I think it was 20.
So let me just have a look at your.
Or is it? It's not class specific, is it?
If it'll let me alter it. Right, we'll worry about that later. I can sort that out later.
Does it do it when you put in the equipment or something?
I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look into that.
Don't know how clever it is. Right.
Right, I'm going to start adding. While you're sort of looking at that, I'm going to start adding some of your abilities on.
Can I do the infantry while you're doing that?
Yeah,
or is
yeah,
that
go
gonna-
for it.
I won't mess it up. I'll try and do the infantry.
So climb. Climb sheer surfaces.
I'm not actually sure if I can do it.
What are you thinking about, Darren?
I had a look at it earlier. I'm gonna have a barbarian.
Oh, nice.
I thought I'd go away from the squishy, sort of more magic-y and go for a bit more physical.
Our
for a
fryer is
change.
particularly squishy with 1d4, right?
Oh yeah, but I mean, I like to mix it up as much as possible.
Yeah.
So What's AAC, John? In the armor?
That's ascending armor class, which is what we're using.
Oh, so I want it in that box.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Alright, so...
Well, you get a bit of move silently as a barbarian. That's quite cool.
Yeah, he's got a few sort of thievy skills, which is a bit unusual, a bit different.
Mm-hmm. So 1d100 less than or equal to. Target is 20.
Yeah, I made, like I say, I sort of made up a character earlier because I didn't like his chances. I had a bit of a bad feeling.
Yeah, there's not much you can do when you don't have magical weapons and you're fighting a big creature like that can only be harmed by magic.
I don't think it's just magic, is it? I think it's just got a way high armor class, isn't it? Or is it just the tentacles you can hit, but you can't hit the actual? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I just, I guess it depends on which version, but I think a lot of them are invulnerable to non-magical weapons.
Oh, right. That's even worse. What I was thinking, John, is I didn't know if it would make sense if this guy came from that band of sort of bandits and he liked the sound of what the guys were up to and what they were doing, and he was a bit disillusioned with the whole just getting after this guy at the fort or the keep, and he sort of decided to sort of tag behind and try and catch him up.
Okay.
I was just thinking, sorry, because Weimar was going to want like some sort of wooden peg leg pirate thing as well, that it might be useful to fast forward 2 weeks and to meet the new character in New Zealand.
If that's what people want to do, I'm quite happy to do that.
Yeah,
You did offer the bandits effectively a place if they wanted it at New Zealand. So
makes sense, yeah. That's quite a good idea.
And then that would mean that you wouldn't necessarily have to be a bandit either. You could come from any kind of background.
Yeah.
Well, what I suggest we do is we'll do a little scene, like say 2 weeks on. You guys sort of back at New Zealand, which obviously has the benefit of you will be on full hit points Weimar, because you'll have recovered.
And you have a wooden leg. It's canon now.
Yeah, there will be a slight movement penalty, but I'll work that out later on. It's not a problem.
It's something that he's familiar with from war.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So you can't be too familiar with it. You've only got 2 legs.
yeah, I guess that's true. You can sort of have
I've done
exposure
it
to it, but
what is this?
Okay, so we're going to rejoin our heroes 2 weeks later. They've got back to New Zealand and they've managed to, at a fairly small cost, they managed to procure Weimar a wooden leg for where he hacked off his foot. Obviously, as I say, there'll be a slight penalty to your movement, but I'll work that out afterwards. It's not really sort of apropos now. Now I suggest we have a break from the sort of heavy in character stuff, and we talk about how we're going to introduce Darren's new character. So Darren, if you want to tell the rest of the sort of the group what you're envisioning as a vibe for your new character.
Yeah, I mean it's open for discussion, obviously, but with the meeting of they weren't bandits, were they? But the group in the forest. I just wondered if it could have been one of those. Sort of like the sound of what the group were up to. Didn't think there was enough being done with this sort of vendetta against the guy in the keep, and sort of decided to make his way to New Zealand and see if he could join the group in making a name for himself and getting the job done, and with all the talk of all these things under the ice and sort of doom and gloom, he thinks it'd be better to be in a group that's getting the job done and making a more positive attempt to try and deal with the situation. Then
Okay, so let's just play out like a little ad hoc scene. Obviously, we all know that the sort of aim of this is to get Darren's new character into the group, so we can sort of crack on, and he's a part of the group. But so you guys are sort of sat around in the village of New Zealand. It's taken, with the help of the herbalists in the village, it's taken you most of the couple of weeks to recover to a point where you're still a bit wobbly, Weimar, you're still a bit sort of sickly feeling. I mean, you've got all your hit points back, but
Wobbly Weimar.
indeed. Obviously, Leopold's been as sympathetic as ever.
Yeah.
So, but before we bring the new character in, Brock Montaigne,
I have to call him Peggy.
what do you guys tell the villagers about Brother Lomas? Because obviously, look, when you first get back, sort of dragging like the sort of pale, one-footed Weimar with you, and no Brother Lomas. Obviously, he was like the head priest of the village before he went out to join you guys. So there's plenty of people like crowding around you, like obviously wanting to know what happened. A couple of the older sort of like the women who are like the herbalists and whatever sort of usher you to get Weimar into one of the buildings, and they start applying herbs and bandaging his wound up properly and stuff like that. And as that's sort of going on, people are asking you, they're like, oh, where's Brother Lomas? And we thought he'd be coming back and giving sermons at the church. What happened?
I mean, did we get a story straight about this? Did we?
Well, you've had like time to travel back, so you guys can have discussed this on the way
right.
back.
Yeah. So, what's the party line? I mean, Weimar is, is straight down the line sort of good guy. But
I think it was just we were attacked by creatures, and they slew him, and he got buried where he fell.
it's kind of like, kind of makes us look a bit bad, Malcolm.
So is that what you're telling people? You were attacked by beasts.
Oh, let's not be rushing into telling people that sort of stuff. That's not exactly accurate.
Well, like I say, have this discussion now. This is your discussion.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to tell him, Leo?
Well, he's a priest. He could have. He could have wandered off there,
I love it like Leopold saying, "Oh, he's a priest." Like you're gonna walk back and think, like, "What happened to Brother Lomas?" And he should be like, "He's a priest. That is all." So
the gods move in mysterious ways. It's not for us to question the ways of the gods.
It's a wild place full of wild animals.
It's a wild place, sure enough.
So it wouldn't be
I just wonder why.
for...
I just wonder why my mate said this, because he's a bit more like.
I think Weimar has bigger problems.
If he says anything like that, I'll just sweep his leg out.
If he'd taken off anymore, he'd be the same height as Leo.
Yeah, I feel like I don't want it getting out, So as we're walking back, Leopold would be saying, "Look, you got to keep morale up. You got to be sensible. We can't go out as representatives of New Zealand and admit that we lost one of our number. That is not good for morale. People are looking at us. They're looking at us. We the best thing would be just to say that he met with his maker in his own way. He's a priest. The gods move in mysterious ways. Say no more.
Leander called him back.
Leander called him back into the fold.
I love the fact, to me, it sounds like Leopold's idea is basically just to go, the gods move in mysterious ways.
basically, yeah.
Okay.
Except it's at waist height, so it's more up like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so as these people are surrounding you, they're like, "Oh, what happened to Brother Lomas? We thought he'd be coming back to give sermons." Obviously, why am I? You can still talk at this time, but you're conscious you've got hit points. What are you guys telling them? As all these people, bet you've drawn a big crowd. Obviously, the state of Weimar as you dragged them in, the villagers are crowding around you, all asking questions. I wanted to know what happened.
Well, it's a wild place out there. You do well to stay close, stay within the stockade. Brother Lomas has journeyed on. He's journeyed on to find his gods. But he's fine.
There's a lot of there's a lot of sad looks and people lowering their heads, taking their hats off and.
No, don't be sad. Don't be sad. Put your hat back on there, bro. Put your hat back on there. There's no need for hat removal because Brother Lomas is, he's pushing on. He's pushing on into the unexplored regions.
As you're saying this, Leopold, you feel like a gentle tugging at your trouser leg, basically, and you look down and there's a small child there looking up at you, wide-eyed, tears in the corner of her eyes, and she says in a quailing little voice on the verge of tears, "Does that mean Brother Lomas isn't going to be giving any of the Sacred Day services anymore?"
She's not like one of them little half-dwarf kids, is she, John?
No, it's just a normal small child.
You're supposed
it's
to say yes.
Smaller than you because it's a small child.
Okay. Well, how it is. It's a long way away. You can't get back here. You can't get back here as quick as all that. But we'll find you another. We'll find you another. Preacher man, another priest of whatever gods it is you worship round these parts.
Easy come, easy go.
One of the sort of adult villagers sort of like takes hold of the child, who looks quite distraught, and sort of leads her away, giving like a sort of slightly caustic sort of backward glance to
listen, kid,
to Leopold, who's like, "Don't worry about it, kid. It's a hard knock life. We'll get you another preacher." And he's not doing anything good. And as the child's led away, you hear this like, this like crying child led away.
Did she have like red curly hair by any chance?
Why not?
Red dress.
And this crying child's led away, the sort of wailing, fading into the distance as their parent sort of leads them away.
Man. You can please some of the people some of the time, but poor old brother Lomas. Leopold secretly, he's secretly like putting on a brave face.
So, as you're sort of saying, this old Josiah Means was the headsman of the village. This elderly gentleman with like grey hair. He's like, well, it's a terrible loss to the community. I mean, first obviously with that business with the dead rising, we lost our first priest, and then we were lucky enough to have Brother Lomas take up those duties. I'm not sure what we'll do now. We've been saying how empty the chapel had seemed without Brother Lomas around, and obviously now he's gone. Well, I don't know what we're going to do for a man of faith. I don't think there are any more of his like in the village.
Well, you're a regular ray of sunshine, aren't you, me old mate? Well, we're on the frontier here. You got any family? You got any family?
He says, "Listen, I understand what you're saying, Leopold, but you've got to remember, most of the folks around here, myself included, we're not adventurers like yourself. We're
Not
just
dwarves.
we're just normal folk trying to get by as best we can, and our faith and the people who lead us in that faith and hold the services is one of the few comforts we were able to bring with us from home. And now, after the blow of losing our first preacher, now we have lost a second. You hear someone at the back be like, "Oh, losing two priests in such a short space of time."
I feel like that would tell me. I feel like that would tell me something. Does that tell you something? I don't know.
A slightly sort of not hysterical, but a slightly sort of fraught gentleman at the back. He's like, "Oh, maybe it's a sign from the gods.
There you go.
Maybe they've forsaken us."
Yep, there you go. Sign from the gods. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I can say to you. I'm a dwarven engineer. I'm into a bit of mining. I like my minerals. I've got some strong family ties back in the old mother country there. Tell you the truth, this is all a little bit alien to me. You might want to talk to some of my companions. But I don't know. The best I can offer you is we've got this stockade. We've got a few allies coming in. We've got the chance of, some lucrative deals with the folks out to the west there.
At which point someone goes,
gods and that. I don't think we're gonna. We're not gonna see eye to eye about the gods and stuff.
Somewhat in this gathering crowd, one of the villagers shouts up and goes, "Oh, maybe we could send to Dear Son, see if they've got anyone who'd be willing to move over here and act as the cleric for the village. I mean, after all, we can't carry on without the service. I mean, it just wouldn't be right.
There you go. There you go. See, that's what positive thinking. That's it. Positive thinking. Send word to dear son. Send word to dear son. See if you can rustle up a priestly sort.
And while this slightly odd conversation is going on, what are Malcolm and Weimar doing? Weimar, you've been sort of like, you've been bandaged up and you've been sort of led out. There's a couple of villagers like helping support you. They've basically they've called over to like the guy who's like a part-time carpenter, and he said that like it'll take him a couple of days to like whittle you a decent wooden leg, but he'll get like straight on it. And you're sort of brought out, supported by these two villagers. Obviously, you're there, Malcolm. What are you guys doing while this like weird conversation's going on between like people who are like grieving the loss of their cleric, and the dwarves like, oh,
That's
no,
it. Get the
dwarf
dwarf to sort out all your human issues. You know what I'm saying?
So I think I have a general distaste for humans generally, and most certainly the Leander following type. So my sense is that I'm kind of standing at the back looking peeved, and kind of eager to be about my business and for this whole situation to be over.
And what about you, Weimar?
Probably trying to get with the folks that we got to act as town guard.
Yep, there's a few of them knocking around. It's not a problem
Yeah.
to like attract some attention.
Yeah, so
It's like your six sort of like mercenary, like your light footmen, effectively.
yeah, so like chat with them about what's been going on, and here and both on our travels.
Well, you see old Cotton Nickel, you know, like his red beard and his like furs and his like armor he's wearing, and he sort of like looks at you, and then he quickly like in the like little guardhouse which is building number 1 on the map, and he quickly like gets one of the other guards to like bring a stool over so you can like sit down, and he takes out like a hip flask and he like holds it out to you. You can see obviously he's got some scars on him as well. You know he's like a soldier. He's like, get that down you, and then he says, he takes out a sort of wooden pipe, and he takes out like a leather satchel with some fragrant smelling tobacco in it, and he sort of looks at you and he says, smoke? I find it settles me down. Have you got a pipe?
No, I never really.
He shouts to the soldier who got you the stool. He's like, get this man a pipe. He's been through the ringer, and like a beech wood pipe is brought over to you. Cotton Nickel shoves some of this tobacco in it, like hands it over to you, and he's like, go on, get some of that old doby down you. And as you both light up these pipes and this sort of this like red brown leaf tobacco, this like sumptuous aroma that is almost reminiscent of like an autumn woodland sort of fills the guard hut. And he's like, well, obviously I can see you've been through the ringer. It's been fairly quiet here. We had a few animal attacks, wolves mostly, nothing too bad. We quickly saw them off, and the stockade held, so nothing dramatic to report. But tell me, what happened to you? He says, sort of gesturing at like your stump with his pipe.
Yeah. Unfortunate business in the wilderness, and got caught off guard. Did what we could. Made it back. Sometimes that's what happens, as I'm sure you know.
He nods and says, yes. He says, still, you wouldn't be the first man I've seen with a wooden leg in my time. And as we sort of like fade on their conversation, we now come to the smoking of pipe weed. And I'd like to float this out to you guys. We don't have to do this. This is an optional rule from the sort of Dolmenwood playtest material I've got for smoking pipe weed. And the way this works is if you as a group are vexed by a particular problem, a player character may sit down, get out their pipe, and spend an hour smoking in quiet contemplation or in debate in companions. Obviously, you're spending an hour, so that'll be like a random encounter roll, but if the hour passes undisturbed, the player may make an intelligence check. If several characters smoke and debate, the most intelligent makes the intelligence check with a +1 bonus per companion, a maximum of 4. If the check succeeds, the referee gives you a hint about the problem being contemplated. Now that's an optional rule that's suggested in the Dolmenwood playtest material. Obviously you need a pipe and some tobacco to do it, but would you guys be interested in introducing that into the game? We don't have to, I'm just throwing it out there as a suggestion.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay.
I like that. I like that. When can we do that, John? When can we have a? When can we light up?
Well, have you got a pipe and some tobacco?
Well, I feel sure that I can shake down a few local residents and acquire the necessary.
To be honest, acquiring a pipe isn't a problem, so I'll make a note to give you all a pipe. I'll add it to your character sheet later.
It's like
and-
the East India.
I'll give you like 2 sort of pinches of tobacco each. Obviously, I've got
The first 2 are free.
I've got like then they jack up the price, and I've got the prices of various different types of tobacco. But this old Dobie file the serial numbers off.
It
is,
starts with this.
the one
Next
that
thing
you've
you know,
ended
it'll
up
be the old dream flower there. This.
Okay, so as all this is going on, I think this is a good time to introduce the new character, Darren's new character, this barbarian. So you said you wanted to be part of like McCord's bandits, who were like in the woods.
Yeah, he was probably not one of the main characters. He sort of joined them
That's fine.
after unfortunate incidents.
Now, quick question: are you one of the people who moved to Valconan to like try and recolonize it, or are you a local?
No, I'd have said he'd been a local, and due to the bad events that happened, he
Okay, that's
he's been
fine.
Sort of pretty much a loner
Now,
since.
As a barbarian, I would suggest you're probably like one of like the Ice Walker tribes, because they tend to be like where the sort of tribal, slightly more sort of live off the land style people.
Yep.
Obviously, you don't have to go that. I'm just making a
that's
suggestion.
cool.
So, as an Ice Walker, you signed up with like McCord and her bandits for a little bit. Is there anything you would like to know about McCord's bandits? Because you would have spent time with them. Obviously, you already know that they're a group led by this woman, Remember McCord. They were outcast from the nearby fort by the Seneschal with his villainous sorcerer's powers, and they've been basically waylaying like trade carts to get supplies, and they've been trying to find out a way to like oust him because he's effectively like puppeteering the lord of the fort. But is there anything else you'd like to know?
Just just what their sort of their motives were once that's been done. What are they striving to do? Is it just survival?
Well, their hope is, and McCord's hope is, that once the influence of the sort of like the villainous Seneschal is removed from the Lord, that they'll be able to like return back to their original home, which is the fort.
Okay.
But they have been offered a place in New Seal Land, so their backup plan, if that doesn't work, is to like probably move to New Seal Land and like start afresh there, because a lot of them are getting pretty tired of this sort of bandit life in the wilderness. And like a couple of their operations when they've been trying to waylay people, because they're not trying to kill people, they're basically just like, give us your stuff and we'll let you go. But obviously a couple of them have gone a bit south and they've ended up having to kill people, and that's not really what they're sort of signed on for, but they're having to do it just to get supplies. So they really do want to sort of get out of the bandit racket, but they don't feel like they can do so until they've sort of settled the matter of the Seneschal of the fort.
Yeah, so like I say, I think he's just sort of found himself in that group in just a situation and decided that this is his opportunity to move out and start anew, because it weren't working out like you said for those various sort of reasons. He's more for defending the weak and the and the ones that can't defend themselves. He's quite an honourable sort of guy, but
Okay,
he's
so-
still going to look out for himself. So
So obviously you know about New Zealand because you would have been there in the background when the rest of the heroes sort of met up with McCord's bandit in the like woodland hideout near the fort, so you know where New Zealand is. So you've set off, you've travelled there. It's been fairly uneventful. You know, there were you had to do a bit of hunting. You're probably attacked by a few animals, but like nothing you couldn't really handle. So as you're heading towards the village, you see this wooden bridge across the little river running nearby. There's a couple of little wooden sort of docks with boats on them, a couple of people fishing, smattering of wooden villages. Then on the other side is this like wooden palisade, sort of oriented to protect it from the like woodlands, which you know are the wolf woods for obvious reasons. So how do you like approach the village? You just like bowl in? What do you do?
and just to say, I'd have left on good terms. I wouldn't have like
No, that's
sneaked
fine.
off in the middle of the night.
McCord has made it very clear that she understands that like the path that they're on of trying to get vengeance on this seneschal is a very difficult one, and she said a number of times like if anyone wants to bow out or leave, she's not going to hold it against him. She feels that she can't because she was the one who was like cast out by him, but she's grateful for the fact that so many of like you and the other guys basically supported her, and she's like she understands that like this isn't a permanent way of living. So you go to her like one evening and you're like, oh, I don't really think I can keep up this lifestyle anymore, and she basically thanks you for helping them so far. Basically says that she hopes that they'll see you again, maybe in better times, and she asks you where you go, and obviously you say New Zealand, and she's like, well, if things don't work out at the fortress, you may see us all there at some point soon anyway.
Yeah,
but
I hope that's the case. Basically,
she gives like the old warrior's handshake, and then she's like, in the meantime, keep well, Brock, keep well, and like I say, hopefully we'll meet each other again in better times.
Yep. I wish them all the best, and
Yeah,
a few of the others that might have.
Yeah, there's a lot of back clapping and hands sort of shaking and like well wishing, and then they give you like provisions enough to get you to New Zealand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you obviously they're a bit tight for stuff, but they give you what they can, and you head over. So when you've seen New Zealand, you've arrived there, you've walked there. It's been quite a journey, but like I say, you've had to fend off a few animal attacks. You had to hunt on your way to supplement your meagre provisions. How do you enter the village? You can see there's like a guard sort of clad in leather armour with like a spear who's like stood on the bridge.
If I remember correctly, did we give them some sort of I don't know if it was a note or something to allow them to sort of get introduced?
I don't recall exactly, but obviously we've got everyone here. It's something you guys did. Did you guys give like McCord's bandits?
Yeah. We gave them a thing so that they could. We wrote something out that they could present to our people on the stockade as an inn. Basically, a kind of.
So I'll make a copy of that then, basically, so that.
Well, McCord gives you the original. She says they're not going to be moving sometimes, so she's like, take this, and hopefully with you there, if the rest of us do need to come to New Zealand, we won't need it. But anyway, you take this, which she sends you on your way. So as you're heading across the bridge, you see there's one guard on the bridge and another one sort of walking up. Like I say, these like sort of human mercenaries. They're wearing like leather armour. They've got like round wooden shields. They're carrying like hand axes. As you're sort of approaching the bridge, one of them's like, "Who goes there?"
I mean, I know that I'm quite a sort of intimidating presence. He's a big old guy.
And as an ice walker, you would most likely have very pale skin, probably blonde or red hair and like blue eyes. If that's all right with you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a picture there. Not quite, but
that's fine. Obviously, you're only like sort of part ice walker, so we can use the picture you've got. I'd rather you get something that you're happy with than worry about that.
Well, that's no problem. But I'll approach with sort of hands up. Obviously, I've got this large two-handed sword sort of on my back, but I'll approach with my hands up, and I was invited basically by a number of your village. I guess this is before the others have got back, or would
No,
they
this
have
will
got
be.
back by now?
I was going to say at this point, the rest of you who are sort of in the village, you sort of see there's a little bit of commotion on the bridge. There's a couple of guards there, and you can see this guy with this big like two-handed sword. He's like holding out like a bit of parchment to the guards. So, Darren, can you describe what your character looks like for the rest of the group? What do they see when they look towards the bridge, towards the commotion?
Yeah, so as I described, he is a bit of a man mountain, extremely strong, quite good constitution as well. But yeah, big shoulders. He wears chainmail, so quite heavily chained, but he wears a lot of furs on top of it. So he just looks even bulkier than he actually is. He's puffed out by all these furs and armor and stuff. So it makes him even bigger. And that's where his second name comes from. It's like mountain, the translation. So yeah, he's got the long hair, slightly red or very light sort of brown hair, long beard, with the small plait down the middle. He's got, like you say, he's got the two-handed sword and a spear on his back. He looks like a sort of hunter or a wild man.
Okay, so as the rest of you three look over at the bridge and these two guards like questioning this like mountain of a man, what do you guys do?
Do we think we'd recognise him from the meeting him in the village or in the
Roll
camp?
me a d6.
They've been in the background, so
Yeah.
4.
He looks vaguely familiar. You might think, oh yeah, wasn't he one of the guys sort of stood at the back drinking while we were talking to McCord? We didn't really speak to him a lot, but I'm pretty sure that's where I know him from.
Okay, so I will. This is while Weimar is getting fixed up, or was this afterwards?
This is actually a third week, so like another week has passed because Weimar's been getting fitted up with his leg.
Okay.
So Weimar is like fitted up with his wooden leg now, and like the three of you were sort of stood around talking about what your next move was going to be when you heard this commotion on the bridge.
Okay. So I will, assuming I'm the one who notices, I'll say, wouldn't he make a fine addition to our team? And when the guys look over, they'll see this kind of man mountain talking to the guards. And I guess I'll...
To be honest, Mark, I mean, in your sort of expert opinion, if he did just decide to like try and like force his way over the bridge, you're not entirely sure how much use these like two guards would be as he's sort of like towering over them.
So with that, I guess I'll start heading towards the bridge, calling for the guards to let him in.
One of them looks over at you and he's like, how do you have the guards refer to you? I mean, do they call you like Mr. Harper? Do they just call you Malcolm? I mean, you're paying them, so...
Yeah, probably just Malcolm.
Okay,
or Harp. Probably just Harp.
Harp, okay. So one of them says,
I'm Captain Stavish.
he says, yes, of course, Harp. He says, fellow says he knows you, bought this for him, and he sort of holds out the parchment, which obviously you recognise towards you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We met him before. We invited him to come and stay. So just let him come and go as he pleases. And then I'll turn to Brock, and I guess. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but you are one of McCord's crew, right?
I was with the group for a short time, but I was at the meeting when yourself and your three companions, I believe, discussed the matters at the keep.
Yes, indeed. Well, my name is Malcolm Harp. This is my friend Leo. He's the short one. And this is my friend Weimar.
The captain of the guard.
And speaking of which, what do the guards refer to Weimar as?
Peggy.
I think it would just be Weimar.
That's absolutely fine.
At this point in time, at least, yeah.
Thank you, Weimar.
Yeah, so the guards have let him past. Malcolm's like brought him over to you guys, introduced like Leo and Weimar.
So what brings you to New Zealand, Brock?
I like what I heard at the meeting.
Money.
I believe that you gentlemen are trying to put things right, or at least do something a bit more proactive.
Gentlemen. Gentlemen.
And short fellas, he'll look down.
This will be an ongoing issue, which hopefully you'll be able to handle. I don't think there's much that you can't really, but it's a thing.
Yep. Until you folks, get a few more of my brothers over here, and you can entice them with something sensible, then this is going to be an ongoing discussion. We've got my pointy-eared friend there. It's not ideal, is it? We've bailed you out for so long. We bring wisdom. We bring the wisdom of the ancestors. Yeah, it's ignored.
In the background, you hear one like the village women being, "Oh, I see Leopold's on it again." As they walk past this conversation.
I tell you,
he's become a little bit infamous for his rants in the village.
I've gone out that many times with the next new rising star. The next new rising star that's rocked up from yonder village.
You hear someone in the background going, "Oh, I'll be on about his ancestors next."
And I'll tell you, and they don't last 5 minutes. They're not durable. They lack the staying power. Come on. What's up with you people? I keep telling you, you gotta look after your families. You gotta look into where you come from. Think about your ancestors.
Someone go, "There you go, I told you."
So what Leopold is saying, Brock, is that there's a job here for you, with shit pay and uncertain prospects, which I presume are both bonuses for you at this point because you're here.
Well, it's still better than what was happening up at that keep.
Yeah. So what was happening up at that keep? That's what I want to know.
They're trying to get rid of that the mysterious guy that's got the ear of the Lord there.
Yeah. No, say no more.
But I like to judge people more by their actions than their appearance. So hopefully I'll be able to prove my worth and help you to,
Leo's actions are short as well as his appearance.
You hear the woman in the background be like,
Listen, old lady, listen. Wait, you at the back. If you've got something to say, step up. Come
Quiet
step
now,
up.
Leopold. She's an ancestor.
No, she ain't my ancestor. She might be yours.
The woman's like, "Well, get a word in edgeways. Chance of being
Yeah,
fine
you
thing."
come up. You got the floor. Come on. Come up to the front. What's your name?
She steps up and she's like, "I've been in this village since it was founded. I can't believe you don't remember my name." But
So anyway, Brock, is it more about the...
and the rest of you carry on talking while this woman's like arguing with Leopold, going, "And you come over here and say there should be more dwarves. Where are all the bloody dwarves? That's what I want to know." And I'm going backwards and forwards between them two. Sort of faded into the background as you guys carry on talking.
Yeah, any particular interests or talents, Brock, that we could put to use? We honestly, we could use anything, but what's your... I was going to ask what's your strength, but I can clearly see that.
It's strength.
Yeah, I've lived off the wilds for some time, so I'm quite good at hunting
Very
and
handy.
foraging.
Very handy.
I'm a good climber,
Also good.
and I can hide fairly well and move around fairly silently when needed. So I don't let the bulk,
Is Brock wearing like any visible like bow or any weapons?
He's got a spear and a two-handed sword on his back. Strapped.
Mm. Okay, so you can probably swing that thing. Motion towards the handle, the massive handle.
He'll give a chuckle at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what to do with that.
You and only you, while I hear like a voice inside your head go, well, I suppose it's all right as far as swords go.
So that all sounds very wonderful, and it is all these things we will have to do and make use of as winter approaches. So, as far as we're concerned, and I'll look to Malcolm and whoever else is around, the guards and whatnot.
Leopold? Leopold?
Yeah, because Leopold is having a bout with the lady in the background.
Yeah, but I'm still around, man. You just don't overlook me because of my size.
I mean, it's yeah. Well, I guess I'll give a glance, but since there's like
a gaggle of old
there's a
ladies
match going, it's like, well,
Purple rinse.
Yeah, fine,
Yeah.
fine then. I guess from all of us, we're glad to have you, and yeah, welcome. There's probably a space somewhere. We're going to build more houses as we go, of course. We're figuring things out as we go, as you do.
Okay, so
I'll
sorry,
certainly
guys.
be happy to help. Yeah.
So as you sort of welcome Brock into the fold, we've got a couple of options here, guys. We can either sort of wrap up here and have a bit of a discussion about where you want to go for next session, or you can decide what you want to do now. We can just sort of like see how it goes. Entirely down to you guys.
I think we want to go after that mithril, don't we? Don't think we want to go back near that cave. We just.
I think we need to. Eventually, we're gonna want to look into more of that, but I think we're gonna do. It's gonna be scouting in more detail and with massively more caution now that we know the kind of things that can be found in the mountains. Because we went in with sort of like bears and bandits, and maybe there's like a crazy wizard somewhere, but it was in fact not any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Leopold is pro dwarf and is pretty low on the old charisma. I think he's going to be pushing hard in a fairly obnoxious way to get some
That's
cash.
a change.
Yeah, to get some cash flow. We want to be getting that mithril. That is, Malcolm is for once speaking wisdom. A clock is right at least twice a day, and
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think the dwarf is right. I think
the dwarf. That's nice. The dwarf.
Captain
Wow.
Short Arse. I don't know. What do we call him?
I call him Malcolm. I mean, extending the, what is it? I'm speechless. The elf is calling me a dwarf. I don't call him an elf. I don't call him an elf, but he calls me a dwarf.
So on to the business at hand.
Listen, Peggy.
I have to. That is part of the situation here, unfortunately, that I have to every time.
Your man there, Longshanks, pointy ears, the elf. He's speaking a little bit of wisdom, which is not, which is rare enough after the stalactite incident. Right? I've written it down.
I'll take your word for it. I was having different.
Throw your
experience
hammer
that
at the
time.
stalactites and you'll be all right. Nearly got killed.
You are
Nearly.
all right.
Ah! Ah! Only because of the ancestors saved me from the grips of the tentacled cavern monster of doom.
So I think, heeding the words of the ancestors, we're going to look into this mithril business. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, who's
Now.
got the details? I was not really committing them to long-term memory at the time.
So
We've marked them. We've marked them
they're on the
down
map.
on the charts. And your man Montaigne, your buddy, he will be most well equipped for this mission. I feel he seems of sturdy stock, and if he was a little bit shorter, he'd be probably at least
Still massive.
still massive.
Right.
I was getting into the weeds there.
Okay, so we're. So I'm looking at the map here. Trying to
So they're
find.
about 4 hexes north of us. There's what we believe is the location.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay, it's a long trek.
It is. But we
Yeah.
have a couple of ponies and we can buy 2 more to get the mithril back.
Perhaps we should get some dudes, some folk, some solid outdoors types to accompany us. Some doughty retainers.
Well, we already have Gordon.
Gordon.
He's an outdoors man.
Okay.
I guess if we want more, we'll have to go to one of the forts. And I don't know that we necessarily want to do that.
No.
I think just the 5 of us set out, try and keep our wits about us, make our way up to these mountains, have a look around for the mithril, take as much of it as we can and come back, and then hopefully by then our merchant friend will have come, will have, if he brings goods and if we have mithril to pay for them, and then he'll bring more folk, and then if we can start trading with Deerson, we could really start making real progress in building up the town and getting more people to come and compete with the forts.
Elf and accountant, a rare combination. I see your true colours are coming through, Mr. Harp. You must have
Thank you very much, Captain Stavish.
So I think what we're going to do, guys, is we will wrap up here for the evening, and we'll have you guys setting off to head for the mithril next session. So thank you all for playing. First of all, I hope you all enjoyed it, despite you losing a character, Darren. I hope you still enjoyed the session, and we can obviously bounce Brock in as part of the group next time. So so I'm going to end the stream here shortly, but obviously we'll dole out XP. You can carry your XP over to your new character, and we will discuss what you want to do next time so I can plan for that. So that's it for this evening. Thank you to my wonderful players and to anyone who's watching this. Hopefully we'll catch you next time. Take it easy.